Welcome. So those words that I said before, the comedy hour, Comedy Satsang, we take ourselves so seriously. We take life so seriously. Our circumstances so seriously. Our birth so seriously. Our past, our future, everything that's going on, we take it so seriously. And so, you know, if we could look at an actor living how we act, living how we live, we'd be like watching a show, watching a play, watching a drama of, you know, there's suddenly fear, and then there's anger, and then there's upset, and there's a death, and there's birth, and there's, oh, you know, but we're not laughing. In our life, we're not laughing. And so we can explore this tonight, because there is a lightness about life. And the lightness of life often gets overlooked because we give our attention to what we feel deserves attention because it feels weighty. So the circumstances of our life feel weighty, our relationships feel weighty, our finances feel weighty, our health feels weighty, you know, the world feels weighty. And some things are, you know, we were looking at the seriousness of the fires in the Amazon, like it's weighty. And yet right here, this moment, if we don't bring all of that here. So I'm not talking about not attending to or being moved or doing our part if there's something calling us to take action or we're moved somehow. Usually we're just bringing everything here, heaping it on, and it's weighty. So it's not that I think we should go through life laughing our heads off, but we're not laughing at all, really. You know, and life is light and joyful and God-filled and grace-filled. And we know if we're giving our attention to something else because it feels weighty. Now, you know, I've spoken about this as well around Cohen's death. So that was weighty, you know, and there was pain and grief and tears and upset and trauma and the unknown, everything that was going on, and yet still there was peace. There was still peace. So mostly in our life, it's not that degree of trauma or tragedy. It may be, for somebody watching, it may be. But we're still treating our life, approaching our life, living our life as though it's that weighty. Rather than the lightness of being, really, the joyfulness of being, the delight in being alive, you know, just like that, in a blink, this life's gone. You know, in the scheme of form, in the evolution of form, a human life, it's a blink, it's nothing. So even this idea that we want to be something and be someone and do something profound and, you know, leave something somehow, it's all weighty. And then we miss out on the joy of being in the moment. giggling because we can, singing because we can, dancing because we can, enjoying, like I shared something last night. It's been so long since we've had rain, so long. And we're in bed reading, and then the sound of the rain. Oh my goodness, the delight in the sound of the rain. The simple pleasure and joy just in the natural occurrence of rain. So in this we get to see, where are we giving our attention to this that's weighty? When it's investigated, it has no weight, actually, no substance at all, but it seems weighty. Where are we giving our attention to something that seems weighty rather than the joy and lightness of just being here, no matter what's going on? So maybe there's something that you notice, or we can sometimes be shocked that we do give our attention to the weightiness and believe that it's real. Yeah, so this that's called fun and lightness isn't actually what we're speaking of here, is it? Because we all feel that. It's that way that we move away in pretense to distract from something else. That type of what's called fun. Rather than this that I'm speaking of. So you've mentioned this around choice. So we can choose this or this or this or this or this or that. But what if we don't have to choose anything? What if we can just lay all that down and be here as we are? And open here as we are, and discover the lightness of being. Because this, when we're choosing something over another thing, so it can be that we're swapping one thing for another. And on some level it's still causing suffering because we're trying to keep it in place. Then I should be light, and I should be happy, and I should be able to, all the shoulds come in. So if just for a moment, if we can explore this without touching one or the other, because we've all had times in our life where there's been heaviness or periods of heaviness, or we've all had times where maybe we've tried to make light of things and we know the emptiness of that. And so what if we were just to open here? Forget anything of past, anything of future. As you open here, you may experience the effervescence of life itself. You may experience the lightness of being, the joy of your own heart, the simplicity of presence. See, so many times people come to satsang, it's like you use this word garbage. I wasn't thinking of you when you said it, when it's come up now, but it's like we bring everything weighty. We bring all this stuff with us because we're coming to satsang or some spiritual group or some healing circle or some, we go, I'll bring all this, don't we? Like, Papaji said, leave everything at the door. Like, we take our shoes off and we leave them at the door. Leave all the baggage at the door. And just come here freshly, without any baggage, without any story, without any weightiness, without any needing, desiring, with this open innocence of discovering what's here, discovering who you are really. And then, is it this one or the other? So yes, choice is valid, definitely valid. And yet this choiceless being, this lightness of being, the choiceless being, think how much efforting there would be in trying to choose lightness of being, trying to have lightness of being. It'd be quite effortful. So what's discovered here? When we leave our shoes at the door, when we leave our baggage at the door, when we don't bring anything weighty, yeah, see, something changes. See, it's like, oh, here we are, we're in satsang, but if we don't bring anything weighty, because how can we actually bring anything anyway? It's like we're lumbering around with all this stuff that it's not even real, but we're staggering under its weight. Yes. So this is what I'm speaking of about the comedy as well. When we, as though we were looking at someone playing out, performing, that suddenly there's fear, But the reality is, here we are, like we're just here. And there's some feeling, some emotion, some sensation, and we name it, and then we're terrified of it. But there's just some sensation. So is there a willingness for us to open to whatever's here without the gravity of making it weighty? Without bringing do you see what I mean? Like there's just sensation, there's just emotion, there's just fear. Yes, there may be agitation and shaky, and it may feel terrifying. But we can add weightiness to that, and it's this, or there can be a lightness that there's fear and terror here. And we can open to it. Because we treat our life and we treat the sensations and we treat the emotions in a way as though it's the end of the world.
Like we almost put a layer.
Yeah. Yes. And yet simplicity is, there's sensation here, there's fear here, and we get to open. And so there's no weight, there's no gravity, there's just opening to fear, opening to love, opening to pain, opening to anger, opening to sadness. There's just different sensations, different emotions, but some will bring gravity to it and weight to it, and as though we weigh ourselves down, and some we fill it with helium, like, oh, it's bliss, oh, I'm out of my chair, it's like we actually do this rather than be with just simply the simplicity of being with what's here. So without adding weight, can we just open to fear? Without any story of past or future, can we just open to the discovery of what's here? Because often when there's a sensation, because often there's a sensation before the emotion, there's a like a clenching, or there's maybe a rush of heat in the body if it's anger, you know, different sensations and different emotions. But there's often an uh-oh, isn't there? And that uh-oh is like, oh, like that's the weight. You don't normally go, oh, it's fear. Let me just open to this. God, it's terrifying. And we just open. And as you're just here with it, what do you notice? Without that gravity on top.
I don't know how to articulate it. It just feels, I'm aware of like a weight, for want of a better word, in my chest, but also, yeah, like a kind of a lightness with that in a way, like a layer of just joy or something on top, or I don't know. Yeah, like is joy weaved into it in some way.
So how beautiful, because before it's like these weighty, there's all this fear and like you can feel the gravity of it. But there's actually this spaciousness, this that we are, and a sensation is here. Something's in the body, a sensation, a clenching. And we can just open. The simplicity of it. It's beautiful. That's why I said, you know, how lovely fear is here. Like it's beautiful because it's just something to open to. There's nothing that can't be met. There's nothing that can't be experienced, open to, that we can really just open. Everything points us back to the truth, back home. To this, whatever words you want to use, endless, silent, grace, joyousness, nothingness, peace, beauty, love. So it's not to bypass that fear. It's not like, oh, well, I'll give my attention to joy instead so I don't have to feel the fear. It's just without the gravity, without the weight. Oh, I can just open. That's okay. It's just fear here and I can open. Just the simplicity of it. And then we notice, are we telling a story that we don't want fear here? That we just want the lightness without the fear. And then we create that other, like another layer, that resistance. Whatever's here is here. It's just a sensation. And it's like as we get really, it's almost like we get up really close with it. Really close with the fear. So we're really willing to bring it so close, because we're trying to keep it at arm's length usually, way away. But it's like we can bring it close. Either that sense that we're bringing it close, or we're coming close, or we're opening into it, but really close. A different face of the beloved. A different face of the beloved. Often we go somewhere, like we go to satsang because there's something wrong. Because we want something else, we want something different, we want to feel something else, we want to experience something else, we want to explore something else other than what's here. And yet, how beautiful just to be in the moment as it is. It's beautiful. You know, and of course the opportunity is here to explore what comes up, what is it really, and point back to what's true. But we don't have to have the weightiness of something wrong, even when fear comes. You know, the body mind, it has this kind of warning system. And you get to see what's playing out. Some perceived threat has triggered something and the warning system's going off. Because here we are, like it's pretty comfortable. It's a couch and blanket and, you know, like to have this level of fear in the body. So there's something that triggers the system into believing it's under threat. That something's going to be opened up or exposed or uncovered or... So let's check. What, just as we open here, what's exposed? What's uncovered?
I wouldn't say it's heaviness, I'd say intensity.
Intensity. And so we can just dance lightly with intensity. Can't we? We can just dance lightly with it. We can just open. See, we're not really taught this. We're taught that it's like, oh no, you shouldn't be afraid. Oh no, don't be upset. Oh no, don't be angry. Like everything's oh no, even if it's not spoken like that. We learn this. We learn it as children. We learn it in school. We learn it in the workplace. We learn it in relationships, like on and on. Oh no, don't be who you are. Don't have that going on. All that's going on is that there's some sensation in the body mind. And yes, sometimes there's an intensity. Can we? Are we willing to dance lightly with it? To dance light. Some people do oh no around love. So it's not just fear and anger. So can we dance lightly with love? Can we dance lightly with intensity? Can we dance lightly with fear? And what happens when we just open, just soften? We're just lightly here with. So not instead of, not as a moving away, not as a blanketing on top, not as an ignoring, I'll be light instead of that. Just lightly with it. Lightly with fear, lightly with intensity, even lightly with bliss. Just lightly.
It tends to facilitate expansion.
Oh, how beautiful.
Lightness,
yeah, beautiful. So isn't that amazing? No trying to fix, no trying to change, nothing. Just, but this expansion, the lightness. But if we brought the weight before, the weightiness and the intensity and the all-knownness and the, you know, and we spiral into this that's not real.
Makes it more dense than it is, doesn't it?
Yeah, because what's it made of, really? So, it's lightness. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's made of the same that bliss is made of. It's made of the same. Lightness, energy, conscious presence. And maybe the mind wants to try and grasp the words, and you know, when I speak in satsang, like just chuck out anything I say. The words can only point. One would hope they can at least point. But it's what they're pointing to, not the words. So if these words, like dancing lightly, and the mind's trying to grasp hold and figure out and work out what does that mean and how do I do that, and oh, do you see that gets all heavy baggage again? Just put it down and be here. Just be here. Forget dancing. And what do you notice? Anyone can share.
It's like the weight's optional. You know.
The weight's optional.
And without it, it's much lighter.
Isn't that amazing? Did you hear? I'm not sure if you could hear what was said then. The weight is optional. What a relief. And without the weight, it's lighter. But we don't realise that the weight that we bring is optional. Because we believe the story of me and my life. But right here in this instant, is there any story of me and my life? Really, right here, this instant. The simplicity. And then what about the fear? Or the sensation that was a bit weighty?
I think, like Philip said, it just sort of expands and thins out, really.
It expands and thins out. How beautiful. And all you've done is sat here without bringing the weightiness. And of its own accord, without you having to do anything to make anything happen, it's expanded, it's thinned out. And then what's discovered?
Well, just peace and there's just sort of still this comes and goes, just this bubbling of joy, really, actually.
How beautiful.
Yeah,
It's beautiful. Peace. Just peace. Just peace. See, I say just fear because people are terrified of fear, but it's just fear. But and when we have peace, or it's just peace, just love. It's this peace and this joy, this bubbling. How beautiful! We're so used to overlooking it, aren't we?
I should say, I mean, simply peace.
It's just that there's nothing wrong with the words you're using. I know, because we go, it's fear, it's upset, it's pain, but it's just peace. or it's just love, or it's just bliss. But it's love, it's bliss. Like really to open here, and the delight and the lightness. And then something comes in life, because it does, you know, through the form, through the circumstances. And then we get to dance lightly with it. We're able to open with it, to it. We're able to be with each other. We're able to be with, you know, I mentioned the fires. We're able to be with what's here and open to how we can respond. How are we living this life that's in alignment from grace to grace? Is there anything in our own life right here that we're being called to do this moment, not later, this moment? And it's simply yes or no, isn't it? It's simply yes or no. Here we are. We're either being called and moved and we're taking some action, or we're not. The simplicity of here. And so when we put it down, when we leave the shoes and the baggage at the door, really, leave it at the door and just be, then we have no idea. We actually have no idea how we're going to be, how we're going to show up. We have no idea what conversation's going to be had. We have no idea whether there's going to be upset. We have no idea whether we're going to be liked or loved or pushed away. We have no idea. Life is just as it is. And there's some open grace that moves through the life, through the circumstance, through the people, through the relationships, this dancing, and we get to see it's none of our business. So we leave our shoes and our baggage at the door, and we come open-hearted, empty-handed. You know, we always encourage when we go somewhere to bring something. Bring a plate, bring something, bring flat, but come empty-handed to life, to satsang. A little bit like when we spoke about being useless, the perfection of the tree of being useless, like to come to ourself, to come to life empty-handed, unknowing, not grasping, not expecting, totally unknowing. It's you can feel it, it's a very different way of being lived, because otherwise it turns into a doing. Well, I have to be open-handed now, I have to be. Not like that we just put all that having to be a certain way, even that, putting it down, and just here, simply here, the simplicity here. And even the realizations, and even the mind, and even the aha and the wow, and even just let that fall away. All of it, not clinging to anything, not holding anything. Not someone who's got a realization, not someone who's experienced a wow. Not even someone who's let go of something. Just simply here. Simply here. Empty-handed, open-hearted, silent mind, quiet heart. And then for the first time, right here for the first time, we hear grace. We feel grace. We speak grace. We live grace. This. And right here is always the first time, the only time. The simplicity of here. So I love that. To be so light, to move lightly, to dance lightly, even with the mind, because often we're so heavy and harsh against the body, against the emotion, against the mind. It's just part of the form. As I said before, it's like looking at our thumb and going, that bit's not okay. It has its use. The mind has its use as far as the form. And so to dance lightly, to live lightly with the mind, with the emotions, with the body, with the circumstance. Now that's a wow, isn't it? To live life this way, really. To dance lightly with our loved ones. With our colleagues, with our neighbours, with our community. We've heard that saying, I'm sure we've all in this room, we've all heard that saying, to walk lightly on the earth. And then it becomes the doing again. Oh, I have to walk lightly. Let's just be here and see. Sometimes the earth needs to be stomped on. Sometimes, we used however we used. We moved however we moved. And so to not turn anything into a spiritual doing. Because it has its usefulness while it's useful, and then throw it out. So it's beautiful. I love this just to be so lightly with the mind. And then we're taught to discard the mind and ignore the mind and chastise the mind, and it's all the mind doing it. That bit's overlooked. So to just lightly with the whole life. Lightly with the whole life. So no wonder it was showing up as a, comedy satsang. The lightness, the lightness of being together, the love of being together, the joy of being together. Even if pain, like you said, even if absolute trauma is here, we can be with it. And who we are is unaffected. This grace is unaffected. And it doesn't stick. There's nowhere for it to stick, even in the body mind. As we're just open here. So right in this moment, have you brought baggage back in? Leave it at the door. Just checking. Leave it with the shoes. Come empty-handed. So then if the door is here, is us, here where we are, and we take our shoes off here and leave the baggage here, and we're never coming and going through any door anymore. We stay here. You can feel the spaciousness and the beauty and the peace and the truthfulness of just here. Never needing to put those shoes on again. Like Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz, the shoes took her home, but now you're home. Now you get to leave everything, the whole identity, the whole story, the whole play, all the costumes, all the sounds, all the drama. And here we are. Oh, thanks. Beautiful. Ah, beautiful. Hmm.